Joe has been with us for several years, and Joe is our go-to sport performance specialist, especially with overhead sports, rotation sports. Joe did an internship with the Yankees organization, so he's got really deep knowledge about shoulder mechanics and rotary sports. And he's such a passionate golfer. We just wanted to talk about golf fitness. It's not something at Elite that we broadcast, but having Joe is an amazing asset with his talent at golf, and he's got sort of encyclopedic biomechanic and kinesiology knowledge. And I love his programming. I love his logic when he thinks about training, and he's so creative as well. So I think we'll jump right into the questions right now. So if someone's trying to improve their golf game, what's one mistake they may make if they're working out on their own?
First, I think it depends on the context of who the golfer is, who the individual is. If they're like the typical recreational golfer, so we'll say anybody from a 10 to 30 handicap, who just wants to feel looser, wants to feel more athletic on the golf course, they shouldn't get too specific or look for anything too golf specific in nature when it comes to fitness. This again, a lot of this is opinion based on experience. But if you're going from a 10 to 30 handicap and you're trying to get into a more highly competitive level, you need to get fit to play more golf, and that comes from general flexibility, general strength improvements, general cardiovascular improvement. So when you're out practicing, you can spend more than an hour. You can go between the short game area or the driving range, or you can go out more often during the week if you're actually playing on the course, and not break down by the end of the week, not break down by the end of the round. That doesn't come from golf specific fitness. It comes from very general fitness. Now, as you get more advanced, so say you're a single digit handicap, you probably it depends. The answer is it depends. I'm somebody that I had a training in baseball before I became more personally competitive golfer. So I was probably strong enough and had the athleticism, but I didn't have the understanding of the golf sequence, which is really the magic word nowadays. So how to harness the athleticism. So if you're somebody who started off formerly as an athlete, maybe played hockey or baseball or basketball in college, and then is kind of transitioning into a golfer, you need to focus on probably getting with a golf instructor and maintaining fitness, not doing anything to interfere with your golf. And if you're somebody that started off as a golfer and never really took fitness seriously, then you're probably just going to again need to fall into a more basic program of getting stronger, getting more flexible, and maintaining cardio fitness. So again, you have the endurance either during one round, during one practice session, or over the course of the week. That was kind of a long answer for a really short question.
No.
I'm sorry.
That's a great answer. I work with a lot of people who, we're not working towards getting better at golf, or they didn't hire me because they're looking for golf fitness, but they've appreciated how they play golf better, especially on, the last 3 or 4 holes. Yeah. When they just benefit from more focus, more concentration. They're just not as tired. Yeah. So I've had the same feedback from people. Just working on general fitness, you might score better on the back half of the course.
Yeah, and there's a principle of specificity with training that we want to honor, and you want to do things that are specific for the sport that somebody's looking to improve. But what's interesting is that for the person on the outside, for the new client or the new training prospect, is that what is really specific in the gym doesn't look like golf. If you're looking to just shift your body, being able to get better awareness or better ability to move sideways in the frontal plane, which pretty much means push off your back leg into your front side, we're not going to put you in a golf specific really stance. You're not going to be throwing a medicine ball. We're just going to work on general sideways or lateral bounding drills. That could be useful for any athlete. If we're working on your hip mobility or staying in a better address position or maintaining a good spine angle, we have to stay into your hips into a little bit more of a hinge pattern. We're going to be doing exercises, 2 and single leg deadlifts that are just grooving that hip hinge and grooving comfort into the hips, and not just using the spine to stay in that posture. So it's going to be beneficial for any athlete, and it may not look like golf specific fitness. It looks more general than it first appears.
So you would recommend somebody not go to Golf Digest or YouTube and and Google like golf fitness and start doing lots of rotary exercises or cable chops right off the bat?
Not off the bat, but you have to be an educated consumer, and I think education just means taking as many resources, finding the commonalities in the resources, looking at the clientele of the resource. It can be good or bad. If it just people can have reputations for just working with a few celebrities, but at the same time, you want to kind of just use pattern recognition and see where the similarities are. In general fitness is probably always a better option than getting too crazy, getting too pattern specific.
All right. Yeah. So I noticed a few months ago you started changing the way you were working out. Obviously you're very health conscious, and you like to walk the walk of a fitness professional. And all winter long, you were doing, a lot of high volume training sessions, probably looking for some muscle growth, some hypertrophy, preservation lean muscle mass. But you started changing the nature of your workouts a few months ago. Is that because golf season was coming up?
Yes.
Tell me about how you work out during the golf season.
Well, the big change that I made is I'm doing a lot less. And that's a hard pill to swallow. I went from in the off season and winter, training 3 or 4 days a week, mostly resistance training. I don't think I've ever done any cardio focused workouts where it's only really like a cardio workout. I'm always starting with resistance training or just having lifting pretty much exclusively. And I've decided, again, I've kind of energized an enthusiasm for golf that I had when I was playing baseball competitively. I want to get better at the game, and I know I'm working on weaknesses that I never really worked on, and that's really the golf technique. And the truth is that for me personally, lifting heavy and trying to practice golf, don't go together. And that's either, when I say lifting heavy, it's really lifting heavy weights. Or like high reps, like bodybuilding repetition workouts where I'm pretty sore or stiff the next day. I don't have space in my mind for any distractions when I'm practicing. So tight glutes or a tight lower back, that's appropriately tight. It's from the workout. It's not injurious. So I just don't want any distractions, and so I've had to really prune down my workouts to once or twice a week, up to 30 minutes. 3 to 5 exercises, 2 sets of each exercise, and get out of the gym. And that's allowed me to stay mentally sane. No, I'm not losing very much strength throughout the season, but practice really effectively, again, without physical distraction. Yeah, so just a lot less. I'm not and trying to maintain.
I think I might be getting old, but it's worth about 10 strokes.
Yeah.
If I walk onto the golf course the day after a heavy resistance session, and I just have widespread deep muscle soreness, it really affects my mobility, my concentration, and it's worth a lot of strokes.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to appreciate that more and more.
Again, this is from personal experience. I don't know if there's any research on this. Golfers who are training, after a lift and how after a day that they lift or how it affects their biomechanics. But this is what I feel, and effectively, heavy lifts like deadlifts or heavy loaded lunges or like Bulgarian split squats, especially if they're loaded in both hands or like on your shoulders, like in a back squat position with a barbell. That much time under tension, so 15, 30, 45 seconds of tension on the core and the lower back, that's about as non-specific for golf as it gets, truthfully. So even if it's a high force exercise, you're working on leg strength, bearing down and stiffening up from the pelvis and shoulders together, but kind of bearing down for that amount of tension is, again, it's about as non-specific as golf gets. And during the season, I find it not useful, and again for the physical kind of consequences the next day for the soreness, but also the hips and shoulders need to separate, and they need to, the fancy word is dissociate during the swing, almost throughout the swing, and you're never really bearing down from the middle out. You don't want that tension. Things need to move kind of in opposite directions throughout the swing, and so you need. The feel terms, the feel languages, fluidity, you need to feel loose, you need to feel like that you're swinging freely, again, without those physical distractions. But, as you try to digest what I'm actually experiencing, I think it has to do with the nature of what heavy lifting does to motor control and to the muscular teamwork between the pelvis and the shoulders.
So we're going to back out of golf just for a second. Most of your clients are men.
Right
So
now,
if we have any men tuning in now, or women with husbands, and men who are on the fence about working with a trainer, what would you say to them?
One, all right, yeah, please drop the stigma about working with a trainer. Two, you're never going to be fit enough to work with a trainer, because there's this interesting issue with men that they in women that they don't want to start working with a trainer because they feel like they need to get in shape before they start working with a trainer. Almost like I guess to be completely transparent, that people are embarrassed of their current shape, they're insecure about their current shape, and you were trying to disarm that with our programs and with the experience here at Elite, that you're going to jump right in and do something that's best for you that day. It's not what everybody else is doing. And even with our group classes, the best testimonial we can get after working with us one time is that you walk out of there feeling, I didn't think I could do that much. And if we pick the right exercise and we orchestrate the workout the right way, you should feel that way. It should be a good workout, and you should feel like you got your money's worth. But you should have done probably more than you thought you could, and that's our responsibility to pick the right exercise. Two, so again, don't feel as though you need to be in shape to work out with a trainer, to pick a trainer. And two is, you don't know how good you can feel throughout the rest of your day if you start working out correctly. And without getting too much on a tangent, I'm not old, I'm getting older, I'm recognizing truthfully, this stuff you hear when you're in your 20s and you're in college, and you honestly don't believe it, is the importance of regular exercise on mental health, and not just kind of what's going on internally and what you're kind of internalizing, but how you interact with the rest of your day. Your colleagues and your partner and our sessions. How I go into a session. It somehow, and for kind of fitness enthusiasts understand this, is that when your workouts are going well, it tends to benefit your life or stabilize the rest of your life. When your workouts fall off, you start missing workouts, like the bricks start to fall out, from the foundation.
Or the sky's falling.
It's like some kind of phenomenon that occurs. So just getting in a routine without worrying about the goals you need to set, the program you need to follow, just get on a routine. Working with a trainer is always better because you don't have to think. You just kind of show up and get a good workout in, and knock on wood, you're not hurting for the next 3 days too often. But it impacts your mental health. It impacts the way your relationships and the way you interact with the rest of your day so much. Now that I am getting a little older, that I'm realizing this, and you really, really feel it. Yeah. Those are the two things for sure.
Yeah, the trust is big. A lot of our customers that been working with us for a long time, they say, "Well, I just trust you guys. All I gotta do is show up and do it. You guys think about the rest." Men in their 50s. Any exercises men in this age bracket should be avoiding?
I kind of defer to something. One of our mentors, Mike Boyle, always said, if it hurts, don't do it. There's a lot of things that people push themselves through. You just need to avoid those kind of inflammatory patterns. If it's something that's you're personally enthusiastic about, whether it's you joined a gym and they're doing group training and you want to be part of that group, then you probably need to seek out physical therapy to get your body right and then get your technique right, to rejoin that kind of group environment. I'm trying to think, what else would I tell people to avoid? I don't really have any big red flag exercises. It really comes down to technique, the amount of weight you're using, the repetitions, the amount of repetitions during the workout, and the frequency, whether that's per week or throughout your season, a month or 3 months or a year, how often you're doing the same things over and over again. I guess with that said, you need to do things repetitively to get better at them, but at the same time you need to do other things to give your body appropriate amount of rests and to avoid that kind of repetitive stress. So mixing it up intelligently is always a goal.
I'll say that was very diplomatic.
Yeah, it always comes down to two things. It depends and try both. Like that's how you kind of defend yourself from saying something stupid, or too absolute in nature. Just think those two things first. But getting back to the question, people are pushing through pain and they don't need to be. And you have to trust. You have to trust another person, who spends their life whose livelihood is hopefully getting people healthier. And you have to give it time. You just have to give it time. You have to stay the course and follow the program. That would be my advice for anybody, not just people in their 50s.
Well, I'm not in my 50s yet, but I'll say sprinting hasn't been good for me lately.
No, you do something different. You change the velocity, you change the load, and things get sore.
Yeah,
you have to monitor it.
Gun to your head.
Oh God!
Wow. What's one thing you wish your clients would do?
Sleep.
Wow.
Sleep. All right.
It's like you knew what that question was going to be.
Yeah, I know. I got prepared. All right. So if there's one thing I stand my ground on more so than ever is the importance of sleep. If somebody doesn't like to do an exercise, I'm more flexible now than I've ever been in my training career. If somebody wants to change the workout that day for any reason, I'm more flexible now than I ever have been. If somebody says they're tired because they didn't get to bed till 11 for like a non-fatal urgent reason, I'm probably gonna be pretty abrasive in my response because it's not necessary, and it's the best pill. It's the best supplement. It's the best way to maintain. It's the best way to probably maintain weight because you're going to control hunger. It's the best way to attack your workouts. It's the best way to treat your loved ones better throughout the day because you're not going to be cranky. It's the best way not to blow up at your kids when they're irrational in the morning before going to school. It all comes down to sleep, and it's the one thing. It's also it's like the simplest answer. It's the one thing you can control. Again, as I get older, I get more flexible, or at least hopefully more accepting of certain circumstances. Like, I don't think there's a certain routine that can reduce injuries as much as I used to. I don't think there's certain exercises are not going to be right for certain people that I thought they were going to be, and they're going to be right for others that I didn't think they were going to be. But when it comes to sleep, it's such a huge cornerstone.
Non-negotiable.
It's not negotiable. It's a huge hinge. It's not a small hinge that swings a big door. It's a big hinge that makes all the other things easier. Your diet's easier, your workouts are better, and your relationships are better throughout the day. And your hunger is more stable throughout the day. So it's like there's your answer. Avoid the pitfalls by just getting to sleep and sleeping regularly. Sleeping, getting on a sleep routine.
Yeah, I'm sure in future broadcasts we're going to talk a lot about sleep.
Yeah.
Hint. What's the most common misconception new clients have about exercise? We kind of covered this with one of the old questions.
No. But we can hammer this home. One that it has to be really, really hard. This is the one we battle with. We work in a facility where the majority of individuals, customers, are getting going through physical therapy to recover from an injury, and when they enter the personal training program, they value just not getting hurt again. Limiting the reoccurrence of that injury. So it allows the trainer to have patience and gives the trainer time to work intelligently and have as much patience to work with that client as possible. Now, on the outside of our business, most people think that when you're going to go into a workout, you have to beat yourself into the floor. And we do have clients. We do have clients who kind of live by that credo. It's not the overwhelming majority. And we learn to bend as well. We give those clients what they need. So we don't. We're not walking everybody through some kind of slow, systematic progression. If you're fit and you're relatively clear to move, we're going to push you. But for the most part, you want 100 pretty solid workouts over the year, because one really tough workout where your back flares up or your knee flares up can put you on the bench for a month, and it's just not worth it. it's honestly not worth it. There are ways to make the exertion or the physical expense of the workout high, but also in a smart way than just recklessly crushing people. The other one that I kind of touched on is this idea of mixing it up too often. You always have to be changing it up. You do, with some variety, you do need some intentional redundancy. You need to get better at exercises to be able to load them. It's like you go out when I'll bring it back to golf. This is my comfort zone. Is I'm not going to the driving range and hitting every shot I can think of. That's something that a highly advanced golfer would do, because they need that toolbox. I need a stock 6-iron and a stock driver and a stock 56 degree, and I'm going to work from there, and I'm going to hit those shots until I'm very, very comfortable, and I can get be at 178 yards. I can hit my stock 6-iron without thinking too much, and then you add with exercise. In order to get the stress on the body safely, you need to be good at lunges. You need to be good at squats or whatever patterns you include, push-ups and some kind of rowing or pulling. So you do those over and over again. So in the future you can do more reps, or you can add more weight, or you can add exercises to the workout. So you don't just do lunge, TRX row, or lunge, push up together. You lunge, push up, plank, jump rope, lunge, push up, plank, jump rope. And because your form is so solid, you can layer in those additional simple ingredients, and that's how you elevate the metabolic cost or the physical expense of the workout. So and that intentional redundancy, keeping things simple, is always the best answer, always, for most people.
So it sounds like what you're saying is safe, smart, and simple. Does that sound about right?
Yes. I also look at it this way, because I hate trying to defend what I do. So you look at big businesses, and we work with a lot of highly successful, complex, dynamic individuals, and I'm always asking them, probably too often, how do you do what you do? And the answer is the same, Joe. You can do what I do. It's you hire the right people right underneath you who have skills that that you don't have, who are going to manage people underneath them. And so, in big businesses, they operate on a few principles.
Yep.
Ray Dalio's book has like 1,000 principles, but it comes down to the basics. Everything, high performance always comes down to repeating the basics. Golf, big business, any industry, you have to understand the basics, and then you can once you learn the rules, then you can afford to break them. But when it comes to working out, stick to the basics, groove the basics, and increase the stress of the workout through reps and sets and days of the week, and decreasing your rest periods, keeping things really, really simple and systematic.
Yeah, wow, that was awesome. So our technician and intern, Mikey Burke, did we record that? We got that on camera?
We've got all of it.
Great.
Okay.
All of it.
I might watch that again.
Yeah.
All right, we're running out of time, so we're going to start landing the plane. When it comes to fitness, what's one thing that you've changed your mind about?
You got to change somebody's mind before you change your body, and that's it took me 12 years of getting paid to do this to really value that. And the one thing that's done for me is it hasn't made me more uncomfortable and taken me away from my technical enthusiasm, but has made the decision making in the workouts and decision making in the programming much easier, because I'm taking much more consideration of what people prefer early on, and especially a couple things: exercises that didn't work in the past, exercises that they like to do in the past, the nature of the workout. So if somebody really likes cardio, knows they need a little bit of strength, we're going to try to blend that together intelligently. I kind of know where they are, and then once you get people, once they just prioritize good, safe workouts. It's like this, I can't believe it's this simple. Just prioritize good, safe workouts with exercises that people feel they value, and then in that way, if you do that early on, you increase their plasticity to be sophisticated. They become more receptive to more of your ideas, and then the relationship is a two-way street, and the workouts get better and better and better. And I know now that I don't have the best answer on day one. It's going to take me a long time, and the best way to get the right answers early on is to really make the client more as comfortable as possible.
Sounds like that trust thing again.
Yeah, it is, and it's been an exercise for me. I'd be completely candid. This has been the most difficult exercise in 12 years of getting paid to do this. Is disarming my ego of having a graduate degree, a master's degree in strength and conditioning, 4 years of health sciences.
I know what you should be doing.
All that, that I know what to do. Just listen to me. Just all right, let's be more transparent. Like, I was raised, you go into a gym or you go into baseball practice and you just do what the coach says. And so you go into the world and you think that like people are going to act like that, and you realize that with their body, and when people are in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, if a lot of things that you need to take into consideration, you need to be more like the words empathy. You need to just be a little bit more open-minded to their desired experience versus like the absolute tools you need to to get them there. Operationally defining what strength means to them, what flexibility means to them, what a hard workout means to them, defining what they think as high intensity. If you can match their definition of high intensity, they're going to walk out of the gym feeling as though they got a good workout, and their workout was completely different than the other clients, and that's what makes our business valuable at the end of the day, is that agility. And so I think that's been the biggest things I've changed, is that you got to focus on somebody's mind, somebody's personality first. As difficult as it can be, but you got to have that at your core, and then the exercise decisions are much easier after that. Yeah.
Wow, that was awesome, man. I really, I love listening to you talk, and
I appreciate it.
Since the day you walked in here, man. I'm so lucky to have you.
I get fired up about things I've messed up on in the past.
Failure's the best teacher.
That's for damn sure.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for taking the time to tune into Elite Extra, extraordinary life support for people who lead extraordinary lives. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to let us know by leaving us a comment below. And parents, you'll want to be sure to join us next week as we take a deep dive into youth movement with performance specialist Anthony Skyrie. See you then.
Done.
Awesome.
That was